The latest PvP season has started this week, so we've pulled in Machete to talk about it. That more in this episode of the SWTOR podcast from newoverlords.com. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 474. And with me, as always, is SEMA. Hello there, SEMA. How's it going?
Hey, it's going okay. I've been trying to do that, get that pet that's on the new area of Voss, but apparently I am incapable of doing something once a day. Like I log in to do it, and I'll be
Oh,
like
right.
an hour early. Like the cooldown hasn't happened yet, and then I don't even think about it for another like 12 hours or the next day or something. So I have done it, I think, 3 times. Like SWTOR says, it takes 15 days to do this.
No.
Well, if I do it
It's gonna-
3 times a week,
yeah.
it's gonna take. I'm going to really, really enjoy this pet when I get it.
Yes. Yeah. It's a cool pet. And that's good. Yeah, I don't know. You might have to like level up more characters or complete Voss with more characters so
Yes,
you can like do it on multiple characters.
I do actually have a character on the pub side that has gotten to Manon,
Okay.
so getting there, almost there. Um, so yeah, I've been doing that, and I said last week I finished Galactic Seasons 4, and I am taking just a break. I mean, I know we were saying before that like when the season is over, then you kind of feel like there's a hole in your gameplay, but actually I've just been relaxing this week. But next week, I think I'm gonna work on Runic Rep
Oh,
because
it's a good one.
I have those decos
Yeah.
that I cannot click on, and that kind of bugs me whenever I open up my inventory and I see them
Same.
sort of blinking their red eyes at me.
Yeah. What the heck? Hidden Chain Brawler and Varad Altar.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's what I'm up to, and I'm excited because we have one of my most favorite PvPers on the show with us tonight. That's Machete.
Yes. Machete, how are you and what have you been up to?
Hello, thanks again for having me back. I'm doing great actually. So it's nice that a new PvP season has started. So it's kind of good timing because season 4 had ended, and so it kind of gives us something to keep striving for. So looking forward to grinding these dailies, weeklies, and achievements out. So should be fun.
Yeah. I'm really glad that it worked out, and it won't work out every time because they're not necessarily on an exact schedule. But I'm glad it worked out that this season is now starting while we've got this gap and with plenty of time before the galactic season is going to start again. And we don't have to do them both at the same time. This is great. I'm pretty happy about it. So excellent. I have been, and with that, I've been getting into the season myself. So we'll talk about it. That's going to be our main topic for tonight is talking about the new PvP season. But that's what I was doing this week. I was doing arenas on my low level. We'll talk about our Wednesday night group. I wanted to do that, but my daughters were in town, so we watched Logan Lucky on on Wednesday night instead of me coming to the PvP fun night. So I did not get in with the group. And when I'm doing it solo, I kind of like arenas, but I like the low level arenas. So we'll talk about the level ranges, but I like the 10 to 44 level arenas. Time to kill is a little bit
I
longer.
don't think
You get
I
what
even
you're doing.
realized that arenas were available in the low level
Yep.
ranges.
Yep. So both Warzones and arenas, the 4v4 and the 4v8, are available starting at level 10. And then there's basically 3 tiers. There's 10 to 44, 45 to 74, and 75. So my favorite is 10 to 44, and because of the pace, the pace, and that you can actually have some strategy. The only downside, and I mean, we'll get into some of this when we talk about tips, is the queues can be slow at times compared to level 75 queues, which are often, pretty much any time of the day or night, are popping. But the low level ones this week, I did have to sort of stand around and wait and do other things while I left the queue running, and then we had a couple matches where it was like 4 versus 3. And like like I don't know how it works, but 4 times out of 5, if there's a healer in the match, it's on the other team.
Right.
Or there's no healer. And then so I was like lamenting that, and so I queue in, it's just, it's like 1 DPS on our 2 DPS on our side and 1 DPS on their side, and more people keep popping in, and I start thinking to myself, a healer's going to show up and it's going to be on their side. I know it. And bang, a healer shows up. And then another healer shows up on their side. So we had
Doesn't seem right.
so we had four on their side and 3 on ours, and they had 2 healers. We still at least beat them one of the rounds, but when you've got 2 healers cross healing and you're down a person on your side, that's unfair. So
Yeah, that's a challenge indeed.
had a couple good rounds though. Had a couple losses, but a couple good rounds. One where it was down to me and 2 other people on the other team, and I ended up being able to kill them both. That was a fun feeling. To stretch us out another round, and then they focused me. All 4 of them focused me the next round, and we lost. But yeah, some good rounds in my Sork that I'm playing. A Sage, actually, my Sage, which is level 34-ish, 35, is now hitting on all cylinders. So I like it. Yeah, so that plus our fun nights plus ops night tonight, which we did R4 and got some more practice in on Lady Dom. Was a fun night. We plowed through the first part, and now we got back. It's been a while, so we're getting back into our laying out our strategy for Lady Dom and put a couple polls in on that. So it's been cool. Let us, though, talk about what else has been going on in stuff like the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
First up in the news, the new PvP season has started. Now, they're calling it PvP Season 3, and it actually has a name, too. I forgot what it is. It's like Challenge of the Things of the Thing. They put a name to every season and every patch, and there's... so that does have a name, but we just call it PvP Season 3.
Reign of Glory.
Reign of Glory. It sounds inappropriate. Eh, it's the new season. So it's the PvP tracks. It's the 3rd PvP season track. It's not really the 3rd season though. This is like the 15th PvP season or 10th PvP, 12th PvP season. I don't know. It's been going on for a long time. They've had seasons before, but of the new types of seasons, this is season 3, and everything is focused around season 3, and the rewards, like the banners that you get, say season 3. So season 3 has started. It started this week. You've got 11 more weeks after this week to get through the 25 ranks, and we'll talk all about that tonight. What the rewards are, what's changed, how to get points, tips and tricks. Machete runs a group, helps run a group on Wednesday nights that focuses on it for our guild. So we'll get into tons of it. I'm really excited. And as I said, I've been doing some of it. What else we got going on, Seema?
Well, it's nightlife time.
Hmm?
Yeah, nightlife is
Yes.
going on.
I actually
And
do know. I do know that it's nightlife because people keep DMing me their Rhodians. Which,
I was going to DM you when I got another Rhodian, but instead I decided to make it public, and I put it in the
yep,
Discord.
yes,
Yeah.
you did. And I think I said, oh, joy.
I actually did a thing that I don't recommend, which I bought one of the Max Emperor chips for
Yeah.
150 million credits or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's kind of dangerous because I mean, I'm not a gambler, but even I felt like, oh, this is so easy. I'll just do it a few more times. But I didn't. I stopped. But and I did win a pet, but it was of the 3 pets you can get on with an Emperor's ship. It was the one I had already. So the ones I don't have are the fiery Grefna chick and the shimmering. How do you say ginks or jinx?
I say GIF. I do
So
always say
the
GIF. I don't say GIF,
but
so I always say
the new
GINKs.
things for this year are the high roller skiff, and I think there's one other thing that's new. Um
Yeah. What is it? It's the
is it an armor
skiff?
set?
Yeah. Yeah. The high
High
roller.
roller armor.
Yep.
Okay.
The new high roller armor.
And but oh, that's right, because you can buy the high roller armor piece by piece for golden certificates,
Right.
or you can get the whole set from the Emperor's machine if if you're very
Yes.
lucky.
Or both,
Or
which
both.
is what
Like,
Sten did last week.
yes. Yeah, he bought them piece by piece, and then as soon as he finished doing that, he rolled an Emperor chip that he got from Ops that night and got the set. So he's
Yes.
really set. Um, but there's also a toy that I don't have, Holo Slot Machine.
Yeah, and then there's the droid, like the claw machine droid
That one I do have.
you do
At
have?
first, at first I thought I didn't have it because I was just looking for a claw, but it's called something else, initials or something. But
The
I do have that one.
claw. We must obey the claw. You have been chosen. Oh, there it is. Replica C1W4W.
Yes, yes. C doesn't start with a C.
It is a little
Um,
claw machine. Look, it's even got the little claw in there.
yeah.
That is cool.
So
I do not have one.
it's also red. Why is it? Is it
I
because we're in
also
the
noticed.
Can I
um,
shoot it?
yeah, I wonder.
No,
But
can't shoot it.
that it's going to be going on until August 22.
Okay.
So that's so far in the future. No need to worry about it now, Max.
No, I've got plenty of time. I got time.
What I'm trying to do for sure, though, is whenever I get an Emperor's chip to go and spend it. Otherwise, as we get towards the end, I'm going to start wondering which of my characters have an Emperor's chip. I
Yeah.
would like to just say to myself, none of them do.
Yes, that's gonna be a pain to log in and out every single character looking for all those chips.
Yep.
And then you're gonna get then August 23 is gonna come around and you're gonna find a character that's got like 300 kingpin tokens on it and go, what did I do? Yes, this is how it works.
But anyway,
Actually,
yes,
you're gonna
play the
have
play
chips
the.
on all your characters and you're gonna get to September 15th and you're gonna go, is Nightlife still on? And
But
everyone
don't.
in the chat room is gonna say, no, it is not.
I do not recommend buying the Max Emperor's chip.
But all my chips are max chips. I just choked myself.
Yes.
Just choked myself up. Also in the news, guild and community news, our guild fun nights, which we will talk about in detail of the Wednesday and a little bit on the Friday. We'll talk about the Friday, even though it's not really PvP. It's GSF, which we count as PvP, but is not in the season. Kogus, welcome to the chat room. Kogus, another PvP expert. Maybe he can set us straight when we start chatting about PvP here in a minute. But what I also wanted to mention was we have our Tuesday night fun nights, and then our big guild, our community-wide guild, has a big week every week. It centers around August 2nd, which was our special Remembrance Day. I sort of described that last week, but that is coming up. So it's coming up on the 28th. There are 3 D&D one-shots. One of them on the following Saturday night, I believe, is a Star Wars tabletop role-playing game one shot. There might be a spot or two open on that. So jump in aie-guild.discord if you want to see those. If you want to see the events going on in Star Wars, we're going to have a special, what we call our Amazing Race, which is a player run event. We're going to run that on Tuesday. Corley's setting that up for us. We're going to run our Wednesday and Friday, get some fun stuff. I think, Machete, are you still going to focus like get some fun on new pilots? Is that the plan for Friday of that week?
Yeah, as of right now, Get Some Fun is still going to be going on. I do know that we're still coordinating or trying to see how we can incorporate other events, like a kind of like a rotating schedule.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
for right now, yeah, it's still Get Some Fun on Fridays. So we tackle the skies, and that's actually a lot of fun. And of course, everyone is welcome. No experience is needed. If you need help, gearing up your ship or just for different ideas, you know, hop on in. You're more than welcome, more the merrier.
Yeah. And that's cool. And it's definitely more fun to fly with friends and fight with friends. So we'll talk about that a little bit in our PvP rundown too. But yeah, so that whole summer event is starting on the 28th. There's a whole section for it in our guild Discord, aie-guild.org. You can get the link right there to our guild Discord. Uh, Come on in, join the community, see the fun stuff going on in all of our divisions. There's going to be a bunch of stuff going on for Diablo because that season just started this week. There's almost like 3 or 4 events going on in World of Warcraft. There's going to be stuff in Classic. There's going to be stuff in ESO and Final Fantasy and Destiny 2 and Star Trek Online and Lord of the Rings Online. And so it's got a big community, and this is our big week where we do a bunch of things. And a bunch of it will be streaming too, if you just wanted to sort of see the goofiness that some of our groups get up to. Because some of it's small group, some of it's big group. It is cool. Shout out to the chat room. I almost said Discord. Shout out to our Discord also. Shout out to the chat room here tonight. It looks like we're getting a little warmed up here. It's not just me, Machete, and SEMA chatting each other anymore. Got a good group in there. Thank you very much for hanging out. We'll catch up with you after the show too and chat a little bit more. And yes, you can always chat with us throughout the week in our New Overlords Discord. So newoverlords.com/Discord. We've got a bunch of chatter going on in there right now about some new games that are starting up. We did just get into, so if you're familiar with our Behind the Games podcast, which we did a season of, so that season sort of ended about a month and a half ago, but we did an interview with the creative director of Blank Hand Studio, and they have a game called Coreborn. Well, Coreborn just hit early access. So we've been getting a couple people in there. We've been talking about Coreborn early access, which is really cool. We'll be talking about Palea, and then obviously we have a ton of SWTOR talk going on in there and podcast talk. So jump in there. We'll love to chat with you any time of day or night in our Discord. All right, Machete, does your mouth start to salivate when you hear this sound? Get that adrenaline start pumping through your veins. And
Yep, fist pumps are going. Got the
All
team
right.
ready.
All right, bro. Let's go, bro. Let's do this. Let's Red 5 standing by.
Virtual fist bumps, and
Yeah. Well, season 3, and I'm going to bring up the article here because we've got it. The season 3 has started. So season 3, Reign of Glory. Yeah, that's what it's called. Reign of Glory has started. It is another PvP season, just like we've had the first 2. We'll look through the track and see the rewards. It's more of a continuation and evolution. They have changed a couple things, and we will touch on some of those changes, which is interesting. We'll also explain how to get points to proceed through that PvP track, what the fun things you get for proceeding through the PvP track within the season, and like the PvP tokens, which you can use those for, because we were debating that earlier in our ops night. And then because Machete has gone through the track and Stask, who run both of those guys are running our Wednesday night, we'll talk about some tips for doing it casually, doing it a little bit less casually, and how to have fun with the PvP seasons these days. So let's talk about the differences and changes. So this is the 3rd season, right? And they did change the way you get medals in a handful of the war zones, but not in all of them yet. Correct, Machete?
yes, that's correct.
Because they haven't changed it in all of them, it is a little bit difficult to get medals, and we want to get medals, I guess. So why don't we start there about why we even care about getting medals. Let me bring up this screen. You want to get medals because that is the way you get points. That's the way you complete a couple of the main objectives for your weekly objectives in the PvP season track, and that's the way you get extraneous points if you're doing extra PvP during the week. So here, let's look at the objectives for the week. I've already completed 2 of the weekly objectives this week. There's war zones and arenas. So arenas are the 4v4, and the war zones are the 8v8, the game objective. 4v4 deathmatch versus 8v8 objective matches. So I've done arenas so far. I think I've done 9. Yeah, I've done 9 arena matches so far this week. I've won a handful of them. I think I've won like 5 of the 9. And one of the objectives is to earn medals in at least X number of matches. And I think it's 4 arenas and 4 Warzones. So there's a medal of earn at least 7 in each, and there's an objective for each. You can only do 4 of the weekly objectives for the track for the week. But getting medals is what you want to be focused on. So, because they haven't updated all of the war zones, it is difficult to get medals in some of the war zones, especially the war zones in particular. I think arenas are pretty cleaned up right now, although if you lose a round, you kind of get no medals. If you're because it's very hard to get medals in arenas if you lose. You can still get 1 or 2 if you get a kill. Like if you kill a couple of their team members, you might get a medal. But just like laying down a bunch of damage, you won't get medals for that. And then same thing in war zones. Do you like you fighting in the middle and just doing tons and tons of DPS that gets you no medals. So stop it. What you want to do is you want to do the objectives, right? So what is your strategy for getting medals, Machete?
Lately, I've switched over to a tank, and I find that
Mm.
that has been giving me the absolute most medals. I think I got up to 17 last night, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I also like to use the legendary implant Second Wind. So especially as a tank, I'll put damage on different opponents, and then once we focus one down, you get X amount of health back. So you have sustainability, you can survive longer, and then as a tank, you can kind of throw your guard around to kind of protect anyone that may be getting hit a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one way that I've noticed that my medals have increased, and it's especially increased with this new update. So I like it. I'm liking it so far. We didn't get any hut ball matches uh, this on yesterday, so I don't really know how that's working, but for sure, like Voidstar and the one with the bunkers, Novar Coast, I believe it is.
Yep.
The Yeah, definitely racked up some serious medals, and it was actually quite easy, at least as a tank, getting those at least 7 medals for 4 matches. That objective was cleared very quickly, which was awesome.
Yeah. Uh, Healers also get a little bit of an opportunity if you can do some DPS and some healing. If you're putting your shield on people and you're getting defensive points, those are good ways to get a couple extra objectives because there's to get a medal, you need to achieve something on the list of what they give out medals for in the match. There is a medal for DPS. I think you could do some amount of DPS. You'll get 1 medal for that. A solo kill, you'll like get a medal for that. Uh, Objectives, you'll get defender points. You'll get medal for that. Attacker points, you'll get medals for that. That's the kind of stuff where you're going to get the most medals these days. There are some medals for winning quickly in some of the war zones and arenas. Arenas, if you survive, if you live to the end of the round, you get a medal for that. But the objectives is where they changed the focus. So it wasn't just, if you do, 10 million DPS, you're going to get, 10 medals, 1 for every million that you do. That kind of doesn't exist anymore. So if you can do more things and you're checking off more of the boxes, like DPS and tanking, and defending and playing the objectives, that's how you'll get medals.
Actually, we did come across this tactic that was being used against us that was just absolutely ridiculous. The amount of damage was insane. So they had at least 2 SWTOR gunnery classes, and what they would do is that they would drop their incendiary grenade and their shock charges. There's no cooldown on it, so they would just spam it. They would spam it at the doors, so like on Voidstar, and then they would pull people into that fire. So you were constantly taking damage the whole time. And then they would have assassins on the outside that would push you back into the fire, and you're stuck there.
Hmm.
So it was actually a very very clever tactic. They were obviously a pre-made group, and they were obviously communicating with one another, but for those listening on the podcast, it may be beneficial to use in your groups as well, because in one match, that was going on. They had 3 DPS that had over 14 million damage. It was an
Yeah.
incredible amount. It was an incredible amount. So that's something that we ran into yesterday that maybe we're trying out. We had one gunnery on our team, Quinn, as a matter of fact, and he was trying it out. But yeah, it definitely works when you have more. But yeah, it was just kind of it was crazy that they were able to just spam that incendiary grenade, shock charge, and it was just dumping DPS. And
So
then if
yeah, a good team that I mean, you have a personal cooldown on throwing your grenade out, but what a good team will do is they'll all be on voice and they'll call out and they'll have a rotation. So they can keep like they can keep the like the CCs, they can keep the grenades going and they'll rotate so they're not like, doing if they want to like keep pressure on a particular area, they'll call it out. I've I've seen a couple videos and I've known people that were, really into like the team PvP, especially back in the day. That kind of coordination of those extra effects and your CCs and not pushing people into resolve and that kind of thing. That's high end PvP. That's real teamwork. So that is cool. And it's cool to see. Have you ever been in a hutball match against a team that's like super coordinated that way?
yeah, mine.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Nice.
It's gone both ways, but yeah, I mean, if you can set up your line pretty quickly and effectively, you can
Hmm.
pass that hut ball just like point to point, and then it just goes up, just throw it up the ramp, then you throw it to your teammate. We've we've definitely been in a few matches where it was just so it was so smooth and just so perfect. Someone went down, you take the spot, and then but also the benefit of being in the same chat as one another is that you can call it out. So like if you go down or if you're having a hard time, then
Yep.
someone could come in and take your place, and then you just kind of fill the void when you respawn in. So, but
And
yeah,
with
that
with both of those, the way this is being described for the war zones, it's in in support of playing the objective. So, like what you're describing with hutball, you get a couple of people control the middle, a couple of people controlling the end zone. You're passing the ball. In fact, they changed the progress on the team. The how to win the match, attacker points, defender points. You're getting attacker points and defender points for when your team scores a point, you get a ton of attacker points, and that's what you're going to get medals off of. So that change has gone in, but playing the objective in those matches is the way you're going to win, and you need to get wins for these PvP objectives, as we were showing here. And playing those objectives is what you're going to now get medals for. So that's what you want to do. Going off in a corner and going 1v1 against somebody because you got angry that they killed you last time and you're going to chase them down and go after them. That's going to get you nothing. And it's just you're going to waste your group's time and take you out of the match. Um, so yeah, I like that. I like the strats. I like seeing good teams do that kind of thing in the games. Um, maybe we'll go through the war zones at the end because some of them are much more difficult to set up strategies for, and it takes it because they're more confusing. But I'd love to hear more about like the Odessan war zone, what you guys do for that. But so getting back to this, there's 3 war zone objectives, 3 arena objectives. You need one of them is for medals. You got to get at least 7 medals to progress that one. One of them is for wins, and I think you need to win like so 3 war zones, and I think you need to win 4 arenas to complete that. And then one of them's just for playing. So you could get 2 of them done by just queuing up. You need to play 8 war zones, win or lose, and you need to play 12 arena matches, win or lose. That has also changed. So it used to be 16 arenas that you had to do, or more. So was it 16 or 20?
it was 24, and they dropped it to 16.
Well, now it's 12. So it's play 12 to complete the weekly objective, not the the PvP season objective. There are also, so we should be clear on this. If you go on the fleet, there's a daily and a weekly objective for, so it was 16. So the PvP season objective was 16. They dropped it down to 12. The weekly on the fleet, there's a daily and a weekly on the fleet. Those don't count. Those give you nothing for the PvP season. They're still useful because they give you PvP currency and tech frags and that kind of stuff. They give you rewards, but they don't matter for the PvP season. All that matters for the PvP season is these 4 out of these 6 objectives and getting medals in matches. And so let's go to that. So say you did your 4 objectives for the week. Oh, but they do count for. So Kogus in the chat room is saying they doing the daily and the weekly on the fleet do count for the achievements. We won't talk much about the achievements tonight because I didn't dig into them, and those achievements are their own deal. I did forget about that. You do get extra PvP tokens for completing those achievements. If you're hardcore and you're planning on playing the entire season, definitely, and more, you'll want to look at the achievements because there's even more that you can get. That's a really good point. But how do you get points besides doing 4 of this? So if I did 4, I would get 400 for the week, right? And then, and I think I've got a post up. So SWTOR has a chart, Volk has a chart of how many medals you need to get. Yeah, here. How many medals you need to get and what extra points you get if you get those medals. And these points are track points. You can only get a maximum of 1,000 for the week, but you can only get 400 of them off the weekly objectives. And 400 is plenty to sort of progress you and complete by the end of the season. But if you want to go over that, if you want to try to get closer to the 1,000 or, get more for the week, this is the way you do it. If you score between 1 and 7 medals, you'll get extra points. You get slightly fewer points if you're free to play, and you get fewer points for if you lose the round versus you win the match. If you lose the match versus you win the match, whether it's a Warzone or arena. But the maximum, say you get 7 medals and you win and you're a subscriber, you can get an extra 24 points. If you lose, you're only getting 8 points. If you only get 1 medal, you're only getting 6 points. And if you lose the match with only 1 medal, you only get 2 points. If you get 0 medals, you get nothing, whether you win or lose. You need to get those medals. You need to be contributing. So same thing with arenas. It goes from 1 medal to 7 medals, 24 points for a win at 7 medals or more, and 2 points for 1 medal and losing, all the way down to that. So that's why we're talking about the medals. That's why we're sort of focused on that, and that's why we're focused on the objectives. It is fun and interesting to go after those objectives. And yeah, chat room is talking. We have had people complete all of the achievements as well. And maybe that would be a good topic to circle back on towards, sort of maybe the second half of the season. Just how people are doing on the achievements and get into that. Or maybe we'll bring you back, Machete. How did you do on the achievements last season?
Last season, I was kind of lax on the achievements. I think I'd have to pull up the numbers.
Yeah, I didn't even look at them, so I don't even know what it is. Is this? Is this making sense to you, SEMA, from an outside perspective of the track and getting points on the track? That's the way we're sort of progressing things along.
It sounds similar to tracks across the world.
Yep, it's a track. It's a track, and you got to get points on the track. There's only 25 levels of the track. So I did 2 of my objectives for the week so far, and I'm already, and because of the medals that I got and the 2 objective weekly season objectives that I completed so far, I'm now past level 1, which is 3. So I've got 332 points total. So I had enough for the 200 from the weekly objectives and another 130 just off of the medals that I was winning out of the 9 matches that I did. It's not too bad. I do notice that if I lose an arena match, I very rarely get, maybe I'll get a medal or 2. If you lose 2 rounds in a row out of the 3, you just lose. If you win any one of the rounds, then you can get a handful of medals. To get 7 medals, you kind of I typically need to win both rounds. So the matches where we're winning is where I'm getting 7 medals. So yeah. So Kogas also says they made the achievements for the weeklies much easier. It was 25 weeklies of Warzones, and now it's only 12. Yes, you having to complete that's the fleet weekly PvP weekly. Having to complete that 25 times, that's a lot. And I don't even think you can do it. And I mean, because the way the seasons are structured, you can't do it 25. Would you have to do it on multiple characters? It's only 81 days. That's not 25 weeks, is it? No, it's only 11 weeks. So I don't know how you do 25 weeklies. I still, if you got to do 12 weeklies, you basically got to do it. Well, you got to do it either on multiple characters or make sure you do it every single week. Because, yeah. Huh. Yeah, interesting. Let's take a quick look at the rewards. So you got to, so this is the first 2 seasons. Did you complete all the way to 25 both seasons, Machete?
I wasn't there for the first one.
Oh,
For the
that's right.
second one, I got about halfway through.
Of the, so like up to 16 or 17?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I did. But I bought like 5 ranks also. So towards the end of the season, you'll have some catch up and be able to buy some catch up ranks. I bought my way up. So I think Stask did it all the way to the end. We had a few people that were doing it all the way to the end. But I did it by playing a little bit. I didn't actually play that much. And I bought some, and then towards the end of the season, I like was able to. I think I played to level 11. I bought 12 through 15, and then the last week I did 16. I finished 16 and 17 off, so that I got my full set. My full. There's 2 armor sets, and I got the extra PvP season tokens.
Well, also, I think like when you start buying levels, depending on how many you bought before, it increases. So if you wait till the end, then you can you won't spend as much if you're going to
Right.
use credits
And I
to
only
buy
spent
now.
like 50 million buying levels. It really wasn't bad at all.
That's a third of what I spent on my Max Empress chip.
Yeah, there you go. Really? It's 150 million for a Max Emperor's chip?
Yeah.
And you paid in credits. I mean, I guess you have to.
Yes.
That's what you have to do.
Yes. Yes.
150 million. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a beastly amount. And all you got was a pet that you already had?
Yes. Yes. I
Well,
said
I
it
guess
was
it
a
was for
bad idea.
science. You scienced the hell out of that. And science says don't do it.
I was using my free money though,
Ah,
because like I put most of my credits or all of my credits in my legacy bank, and then if a character builds up credits in their own inventory, then that's like free money.
got it. Got it. So you're not going to lose a coma.
No.
That
No,
would be
no,
a
no, no.
tragedy.
Yes.
So, and Quinn mentions, and this is what I ran into, you can only buy up to level 15. So if you want the armor piece for level 16, which finishes off the set, or if you want the PvP token for 17, you do need to play. So there's 2 armor sets. Let's look at the armor sets because they are great. And this season, there's another armor set, and I've got pictures of it that we can take a look at. But the Sandstorm Soldier armor set is the first armor set. That's 1 through 16. And then starting 18 through 25 is the Scorching Sands armor set. They're both the same armor set that are skinned slightly differently. And the Scorching Sands set is the set that has the glowing parts, the lit up parts. It's a really nice version of the set. Both of the sets are an evolution in sort of the same theme that we were seeing in the past. For the past 2 seasons, it's a little bit of like a samurai kind of theme. Looks really, really cool, and I really like this one the best. So here's sort of like a version of it. You can sort of see this. I like this this season's version of the armor set the best. Really great textures. It's they're newer, higher res textures. And as we said, if you get the 18 through 25 version of it, it's got glowing parts. I think they did an amazing job.
They also have the 2 sets from the vendors, PvP season vendors as well.
Yeah. So along the way, you're also getting PvP tokens. They're few and far between. I mean, how many do you even get for the entire season? So 2, 4, 6, 8. If you do the entire season, uh, 10, 12. You'll get 12, a maximum of 12 if you do the entire season, and then you can get a couple more if you're doing the achievements. You can get a few more. So it's not very many. In fact, there are some things that what I want, and this is what we'll get to, is I want those tokens because I want to buy something that costs 20 tokens. But for a cheap number of tokens, in fact, I think I have the list here from them. For a cheap number of tokens, you can buy a version of those armor sets. If you had, say, a couple PvP tokens from last season, you wouldn't even necessarily 6. So if you had 6 tokens from last season, you wouldn't have to play this season at all, and you could get a version of the armor set. And because they're really dyeable nicely, the Assassin, the Shade Veil, Shadow Fiend, are these the old ones? Yeah, Shade Veil and Shadow Fiend are the old ones. The new ones I think are on here also though for 6 tokens because I think somebody already bought them. In fact, someone in our Discord was just showing me today. They already bought the new version. So that's not too much. And those are cool. You can also get the season flag decoration, which there's got the 03, the 2 blue things there. Yeah, it's the Sandstorm Scorched Warlords and the Sandstorm Raiders are versions of those 2 armor sets that you can get out of the track. You can also get a deco, which displays the armor set. You can get a PvP season trophy along the way. But saving up those tokens to buy things is interesting. How are you doing on tokens? And are you saving up for anything, Machete?
Right now I have 8. I believe the same as you right now. But you kind of convinced me on waiting until I get 20 though. So
Okay.
I was looking at some of the decos. The decos are kind of cool. I like those statues. I like those the swords that they may be like the ancient force imbued blade, but if they aren't, I was kind of hoping that those would have been weapons to purchase. But I think I'm gonna hold out for the bigger reward. So I think I'm gonna sit on my tokens right now. I
And
usually do that for regular season as well.
of the big rewards, what do you got your eye on?
Ooh,
Anything in particular?
hmm,
Because I do.
nothing, nothing. Yeah, I think I kind of want to look through them and then kind of weigh my options. But
Because it's a lot of great stuff, and it's stuff from the old original PvP seasons, and you got to earn it. I mean, as I said, if you did all of the PvP season, maybe you got a couple extra from the achievements. You're only getting like 12 or 15, and I'm only getting like 6 tokens. I think I have 8 tokens right now from the first 2 seasons. That's all I earned across the first 2 seasons. So I need 20 to get what I want. It's only fair though because people had to do a lot of work to earn these rewards back in the day. And what I want to get is right here, the replica Furious Weapon lockbox. So the Furious weapons are the weapon set where the weapons are on fire. They were from a very early of the original PvP seasons. It was like PvP season 2 or 3, I think it was. And they're pretty amazing. Uh, some of the old PvP mounts from the old seasons. Uh, the way these work, though, so if you look through this list, it's 4 groups of rewards. The armor, the Furious armor is on there, but these show up on an extra vendor on the fleet, and there's only of these 4 sets, only one of the sets shows up each week and they rotate through. So it's like one week it'll be Group A, and you can see they're sort of listed here. This post is on the official forums as a news article on the official website. But you can look at Group A. Here's a bunch of the stuff. So even if you save up your 20, you might need to wait for it to come around, or if the season's already over, you might need to wait for the next season to start and it to cycle through a couple weeks before you can purchase your thing. But there are 4 groups of rewards that you can buy, and the rewards on those on that vendor, it's about 20 different things to yeah, it looks like about 20. 20 to 20 25 rewards, and they range from 12 to 20 tokens, PvP tokens to buy those rewards.
But how many tokens do you get in a season playing the way you play?
If Even if you completed all the track in all 25 levels, you'd get 12. Now you can
Yeah.
get a couple more from achievements also. The way I play though, last season I got 6, I think.
Yeah.
So it takes a
Yeah, well,
while.
you will have earned you will have earned those various
2,
weapons when you get them.
4. I might have gotten 8, and maybe I spent a couple from the first season. Yeah, I think I got 8 because I got the I went up to level 17 out of 25. So yeah, I'll probably get 8 again this season, and then I will have to do one more season. So by season 5 is when I'll get the Furious. So it is cool. And Kogas is mentioning there was a way to sort of build up the ranked tokens in the previous model before these ranked tracks, and you could do like the PvP weekly to get ranked tokens and save those up. There was a way to sort of save up tokens, but he's saying in order to get like the weapons, the Furious weapons, you would have had to have done 50 weeklies, and that's crazy. That's just crazy. I won't have to do anything near that. I will have to wait through 3 seasons, but I won't have to grind through 50 weeklies. That would make me. In fact, I remember when they came back, and I remember talking to Kogas about it. I think we even had Kogas on the show, and we were talking about it. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna grind. I'm gonna get those. And then I think I made it like a week and a half. But here, I'll go through level 17 like I did last season, and I'll do it again this season. Um, so that is cool, and yeah, we'll have to see what kind of rewards you're going after. So arenas versus weeklies. Let's get into a little bit about how you go about getting your week of PvP done to progress through the season. Machete, what's your favorite way to do it? I think I know, but why don't you tell me?
My favorite, yeah, is definitely Wednesday nights. It's much more enjoyable for me at least to play in a group with people that I know. We're able to communicate a little bit more clearly. It feels better going into a war zone or arena, not so much arenas, but into a war zone with just kind of that blanket of, you have your team with you, and you could call out like if you need help, like you could pull off from an objective to go assist at maybe like a bunker, or fall back to a different position. But yeah, generally it's Wednesday nights for me. On the very rare occasion I'll hop in on one. So if some Wednesday nights we may not get the full weekly completed, but we'll get close, but depending on how quickly the pops are coming. um, and then yeah, it'll just be kind of cleaning up, maybe 1, 2, 3 matches solo. um, but usually, I mean, you can get lucky in solo matches. But for me personally, I much prefer playing in a group with friends. I find that more enjoyable for me because the grind the grind is real when it comes to PvP.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. If you're playing by yourself, it is a little bit more daunting. I don't mind, as I said, I really kind of, if I'm gonna do it, doing the arenas in that 10 to 44 range has been a pretty comfortable spot for me. You'll get some variability. It won't be the same people every time. You'll also get it's slower. It's slower time to kill, which to me feels like a better style of PvP. I like the strategy. We can make sure that everybody's going after the right target. It's not just immediate burst. You get like a high DPS team that you're going against, and they just stun lock you and burst you down 2 seconds out of the gate. um, Having longer time to kill and being able to use some of your abilities and be able to evade and be able to stun one of them and be able to run away, even if you're getting focused down, it just feels better to me. It is uh, it's been fun. Now I know you guys though. You guys will flip back and forth, right, between the level ranges that you're going after.
Yeah, so lately we've been doing 80s only because the lobies generally take a little bit longer.
Yeah,
And then a lot of our
queues.
lobies have got over that 44, that level 40 4 mark.
Ah,
And if you're gonna do lobies, I would recommend getting at least as close, at least to 40,
yeah.
because then you get a little bit more abilities and you're a little bit more flexible in what you can do. But then, you kind of run into that wall awfully quick, and then your tune goes over. So I know that there's a chip, but it's only for double points that eliminates the XP. It would be nice if there was a way
Now, Medulla told
to.
me the white acute module will slow down baseline leveling too, and not just the double XP leveling.
Was
So
that confirmed?
he
Because
says it is.
okay,
He said it's confirmed, and he uses that on his lower level PvP characters, and he's got
right.
like a
Well,
whole stack of
yeah,
them in his, and he uses them all the time, all year round.
yeah, because they don't cost anything. They're zero.
There's
There's
zero
no
when the
credit.
vendor is around. The
Yeah.
problem is
So
the vendor only shows up. So there's a vendor that shows up on the fleet. It's a Gree vendor, and it only shows up during double XP. When it's there during double XP, you can go on the fleet. It's in the outer ring, and you can buy an item called the White Acute module. If you use that, it puts a debuff on you, which slows down your leveling. It will basically eliminate the double XP, but according to Medulla, and this it was what we're hoping for, is it will just slow down leveling in general, even when it's not double XP, so that you can stick in that in that 40 to 44 range, or 35 to 44. And chat room is confirming it works. Use it when he's grinding certain level drops. Um, I would love that, to because I'm gonna quickly out level, and I think I did. I think I pushed one of my characters to 46. That was my Imperial side low level character. Right now, I've got a level 35 Sage. 35 is a great spot. 35 to 44, at least to the point where you're getting all of your baseline abilities. And the more between 35 and 40, you do get another rank of your talents. But I didn't get my third dot out of my madness spec until 35. So I didn't really even have my complete rotation done. The other reason you want to be in the upper end of that level range is when the matches start and people say, okay, what's the kill order? Who should we kill first? Oftentimes, if anyone's down in like the 10, 15, 18 range, they're number one.
Ah,
That's who everybody's gonna go kill. Bec
well, one thing that we also found that helps with that is, I mean, you could set your focus target, right? So whoever's on your
Yeah.
team, and then you set them to the target, so they'll go out and they'll attack, and they'll just kind of call out who they are. They'll say switch. If they switch to one, you can acquire their focus target, and then you
Oh,
could
that's great.
see who they're fighting and jump straight to them, or run over to them. So you could focus targets a little better that way. We find
In
that helps too.
in an arena match, when it's only 4v4, you can put marks on the other players even before that match starts. That's what most people do. You put target on the one that you want to kill first, and that's a little easier. In an 8v8, with the way you're talking about it, have someone have, target of target, and you're going after their target, they're taking the lead and picking targets. That's a great way to do it. Because focusing people down, bursting people down, that's the way you get kills. Everybody off doing 1v1s, you're not going to kill anybody because they'll have healers. There's healers on both sides. They're going to be topping people off. That's a really good idea. I've not played with a team that's been doing target to target like that. Um, even when I've jumped in on the Wednesday night a couple times. That's pretty cool that you guys have evolved to that. I want to do that now.
Yeah, it's still new. We're hashing out. In fact, Ryu in our guild was the one who brought it to our attentions, and we were like, it
Yeah,
was kind of like a
that's
light bulb went off, and you're like, oh
yeah,
wow, this
it
makes so
makes a
much
ton of
sense.
sense. I mean, we do that in PvE. Why should we not be doing it in PvP? Makes a ton of sense. Um, I said the level ranges. It's 10 to 44, 45 to 79. I think I said 74. It's to 79 and then 80. are the 3 ranges. Do you play much in the 45 to 79 very often?
No, not very often. It just seems like at that point, I mean, you just may as well go to 80 because I mean, you're pretty much there already. Um, but no, not lately. We haven't really been in that mid range. Um, it's either lobies or 80s. And
Yeah, that's what it seems to me.
if lobies popped more frequently, then we'd probably play lobies more, just because everyone kind of has like the same they're kind of handcuffed the same way everyone else is. So
Yeah.
it kind of puts everyone in the same bracket almost
Mhm.
as far as what you could do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. And then you guys mostly do war zones, as you said, right?
Yeah, mostly do war zones, just because our group on Wednesdays has slowly been increasing. So we usually have a pretty solid group, and it would be difficult to do arenas unless we split up,
Yeah.
um, which we could do. But I mean, I think all of us like playing with one another. So we because of the group the size of what it is now, we generally stick to war zones.
Yeah. I think war zones as a group can be a little, I mean, arena 4v4 can be really fun. You can come up with a strategy, you can execute really well, you can get really good at what you do. You'll have a lot more variability in what happens in war zones, which I think could be really fun too. If you're in there with a group and you're in there to have a fun night on like a Wednesday night and you get thrown into, like an Odessan match versus versus a ancient hypergates versus a hut ball. Those are 3 very different games, and no plan survives first contact with the enemy. Coming up with strategies, trying different things out, trying to stay together, trying to see what happens, pulling off or getting murdered in a hilarious way, or pulling off a cool save with the tactics of the game type. I think it'd be really fun. So when you guys are playing Wednesday night war zones, what are your favorite war zones to get into as a group lately?
If everyone from the group was here, they would say Voidstar, but they know for
That
I'm
you
not the
hate
biggest
Voidstar? I
not the
love Voidstar.
everyone but Machete loves Voidstar.
Why do you hate Voidstar?
I just they generally don't end well for me. They're just kinda I
Now
mean,
you
not to say
said
that I haven't had good matches,
now you're
but,
playing are you playing melee classes and tank classes? Because that's a
so
pain
I
in the
think
ass in Voidstar.
yeah, I think when I was having such a hard time with Voidstar as I was melee, but once I started playing as a tank, it's kinda changed because sometimes I'll like to sit off the wall and I'll pull people. I'll pull people off the wall and then I'll slow them to try and give us and you kinda coordinate with your team and
Yeah,
you kinda try to stun lock them as best you can, just to kinda get that bomb planted. So
right.
that has been something new. So Void Star is slowly changing for me, but it's like the most frequent game that pops whenever
It's only
I'm in the
because
group.
you don't like it, you realize. Because
Exactly.
it's not the
Yeah.
most frequent for me. I think Ancient Hypergates is the most frequent for me. Um, that
Yeah.
I've played a lot of Hut Ball also, but I like Hut Ball.
See,
Um,
and I like Hutball too, but not everyone else in the group is a fan of Hutball as I am.
yeah, I'm a fan of Hut Ball. And Koga says Voidstar is overrated. And Bad Cause Dad says Voidstar is the best. I like I like Voidstar because everybody, as my, I play Madness Sork at 80 especially, and I'm playing Sage Sork even at the low levels. I like Voidstar because everybody's like mashed up, grouped up. The Voidstar is where my Madness Sork can do like 10 million, 12 million damage. I've pulled 10 million on a Voidstar recently. Um, because you're doing dot spread and just dropping, AoE, and just like you get people like just like battling there on the door, and you're just spreading garbage all over the place. Plus, there's the pillars. The problem, and this is what they're solving with some of the changes to the war zones. The problem is, again, to get the points, to get medals, you need attacker points and defender points, and you need to be on the door to get those points. Me, I'm 30 meters away. I'm not going to stand on the door because I'm going to get murdered. However, I'm not going to be getting the points then. So on the defense, I can tuck in behind the pillars on the side. And what they're doing in all of the matches is, and they haven't gotten through them all yet, but of like the turrets in uh, uh the turrets in like the Alderaan uh, uh Warzone, the bunkers in Novari Coast, and the doors in Voidstar, they're increasing the radius at which it counts for you to be an attacker or defender. If you're off fighting on the bridge, you get no attacker or defender points. If you're pretty close though, and it should be in my from my perspective, 30 meters, because you're stopping the people capping on the door, then I should be getting defender points because that's what I do. But if I, as a squishy sage sork, go and stand in front of the door while the other team's like barreling down the bridge, that's just gonna end in tears. So I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, generally sorks get targeted pretty quick too, from
Yeah,
from what I've noticed. So
but
you
you can
already
be
have a
really
target on your back.
yeah, you can be really annoying though in something like Voidstar because you can still do damage from far distance and you can pull them off the door because they're going to come and chase you down and there's enough pillars that you can be like staying, like running around behind the pillars and then they have to like run, all the way across the room to try to get after you. So again, that's why I like Voidstar. Some of the other ones that are more of an open map, something like even Novari Coast, it's much more difficult because if you're standing out there defending a bunker, and you got these marauders and juggernauts that are just leaping across the map and smashing you in the face, and two of them teaming up on you, and I know when I get marked because you can't see a mark that the other team puts on you, but I know when I get marked because it's 6v me at the start of a match. I have a pretty good idea that I got marked, so not too happy about that.
We actually had a pretty epic Novair Coast match yesterday. I mean, it was down to the wire, and it was pretty interesting too because uh, half of us were on one bunker, and then two of us stayed on south because that was one we already had, and then we were fighting for east, and then it flipped like three times. They would sneak in, they would take one, then we'd take it back, and it went down to the absolute wire. And then at the very end, they rushed south, and it was just me and I think one other person to start. And the benefit of being in comms is like, run to south, and then
Yeah.
uh, there was like four people channeling, and it was they just about got it, but then they ran out of time and we won. It was pretty epic, but that was a pretty cool match. As rare as they are, we were hooting and hollering in chat for sure.
Well, it's good to hear that they were channeling. Again, each of the objective-based war zones, a lot of people will go into there and not really understand what the objective is to start, and then like how the scoring works. So Navari Coast, you have to hold at least two of the objectives to be ticking up points, right? No, yeah, yeah, you have to hold at least two of them. Whereas like the Alderaan, if you hold even just hold one, you'll still be ticking up points. So say you're twice as far ahead of the other team. You're like 400 points ahead, and they, you know, they're they and the game's about to end. You're 400 points ahead, and there's only 200 points left to win the match. There's no way that they can catch up with you, even if they're holding two. Whereas in Novari Coast, if they hold two, they can completely shut you down, even if you're 1% away from winning. They can shut you down if they hold two for the rest of the match because your points stop completely. But you don't get any points if you don't cap the node. So if you only have one, you need to cap another node to start getting points. And a lot of people will like go to the node and then they'll like fight and fight and fight and try to kill every single other player of the defenders that are there before they start capping. And that's a bad strategy, especially for South, because then the first person who you killed has now respawned and runs back in and joins the last person that you're killing. to defend the node, and you'll never cap. So you need to be capping before everyone's dead. So it's that kind of thing that if you're in a group, you can like people can coordinate. You can say, okay, I'm capping, I'm capping. See that guy. You know, like you don't have to even kill people. You don't have to kill people to win war zones, and a lot of people don't understand that either.
Right. Well, plus two, and then going back to just in comms, they'll try to pull you off, right? So
Yeah.
when we had just two people at South, there would be a stealth there, and it's like, okay, you're getting stunned, so you don't use your stun break. You just kind of wait and see what happens, and then they would run in with like three people, and so if you're not in comms, you probably hop into chat real quick and type in South, and then you're pulling people off of the other node, and then you kind of disrupt that. So it was really beneficial to us to not kind of lose our cool
Yeah.
because
Not overreact.
eventually,
Not lose your
yeah,
cool.
three people would hop in and it's like, okay, we're handling it right now, and then it's like you hear it's like, well, do you need someone there? Or like, kind of wait a second, and they would peel off and like try to get us to follow them. We're like, nope, nope, we're good, and then they would leave, and then make sure you heal yourself when you drop out of combat. And there were other times too where it was like, nope, we need someone here. We need someone here now,
Yep.
and then someone would pull off of one of the other bunkers, and then drop down and help us. So it was really beneficial again being in comms to have that, because if you're just putting it in-game chat, you won't have enough time to correct yourself if you're like, "Oh, wait, never mind," because then you already have someone probably halfway to where you are by the time you get back into in-game comms. And
I mean, even in PvE, it's hard to type something and do something.
Yeah. 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 And that's why they've had to like ratchet back story modes in a lot of and in all the games, like World of Warcraft, the sort of like the story mode had to be ratcheted back enough so that people, when you're
To
not
be successful without
just
comms, yeah.
communicating, yeah, without voice. Okay, you said Voidstar is your hated, most most disliked. What is your most liked? Did you say?
my most like would probably be Hutball.
Okay,
Personally, I like Hutball, and then Hypergate would be a close second, and
I
then
like
No
Hupball.
Varicose. Yeah.
Hutball, I think I always liked Hutball. I liked Hutball since launch because it's really unique to Star Wars: The Old Republic. There's lots of similar. There's like there's capture the flag and control the points. There's that kind of thing in every MMO that's got PvP. That stuff exists. But Hutball is really unique. Has any other MMO? I can't even think because I don't play a lot of the PvP like in Guild Wars or like the arena based PvP in Guild Wars or ESO these days. Have any of them implemented like a Hutball kind of mode? I don't know if they have.
That's a good question. The last one I did was like probably Call of Duty, but yeah, that was years ago. This Hutball is completely new concept to me, but yeah, I
Yeah.
I, I personally like it, and in fact, I like it so much I went and I got the emote where you actually kick the Hutball. It's my most favorite
Yes.
thing to do because you hear the announcer is like, "Don't kicking the
No
ball."
kicking. Yeah. Yeah. So if people don't know what that is, there is an emote and you can use it during the match to actually, do the pass. It's kicking the hut ball, but the voiceover before the match starts says the rules are you can cannibalism. You can be the first. Rules are there's no rules except honor our hosts by not kicking the hut ball because huts don't have feet. But then if you use that emote to kick for your pass during the match, he does yell out. Baron Deathmark yells out, "No kicking." It still counts. It's just fine, but you get that little emote and uh, little RP going on. It's pretty hilarious. Yeah, Hubball is a really good one because there's also a lot of strategy involved. I get to use my pull, my rescue, my cell, whatever it's called. It's not. I don't think it's called rescue on the Sork, but it's where you pull somebody. You get to use leaps, the friendly leaps. You get to use your grappling hook to yank people away from scoring. You get to use a lot of the abilities that maybe you don't use all that often to really good advantage in Hupball just to sort of like control the pacing and control where people are at.
Yeah,
That
the
was so good.
grapple hook has become like my new best friend. So
Yeah.
if you time it good and you see the pass going to someone on like maybe an upper tier, just yank
Mhm.
them, bang,
Yep.
straight down.
Yank them, and if you're
It's
standing, like, at the edge of the fire pit, when you pull them to you, it's even better because then they end up at the fire, and then they're dead. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know how many people like, and it's one of the least, it seems like one of the least understood matches, but I like Odessen Proving Grounds. Um, it's complicated because you've got it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got 5 locations on the map, and 2 to 3 of them light up each round, and there's, say, 3 to 4 rounds. So it'd be like the one on the left and the one in the middle and one in the south will light up. And then what you need to do is a box appears on the ground at each of those locations, and you need to have your team or part of your team or somebody from your team go run and stand in that box and kick out the other team out of that box to cap that box. That's sort of the baseline of what's going on. It's sort of like a king of the hill. The thing that wins or loses the match that makes it complicated is there are also power-ups spread around the map. And the power-ups do different things. One of the power-ups allows you to go to one of the boxes where the other team is controlling it and they're getting points while they're controlling a box, and you can shut it off. You can shut theirs off. If you use that ability, it comes up on your extra action bar in that box. There's one that turns on a node that's off this round. So you can go to a node that's off and then turn it on. There's one that makes the points that you're gathering off of a node like accelerate. So you'll get done with that node much quicker. And there's one that I think the fourth one is you go into one of the boxes and it doubles. It doubles the amount of points. Kogas is saying, fun fact, if you put 2 blue multiplier points, they do stack, but it doesn't display on the scoreboard. So one node really ends up getting ×4 and your point. Yeah. So you do that. If you do 2 of the multipliers and you're getting 4 times the points out of one of the nodes, suddenly your team rockets ahead and the other team is going, I have no idea what's going on, because that's the power-ups are the complexity part, and your team controlling those power-ups and then knowing what to turn on, off, and where to use them on the map is really, really cool.
that's interesting. I actually wasn't aware of that. And kind of like as Quinn says, Odessen, it would be fun because it's of how dynamic it is. But the interesting thing is, so I've been running PvP now with this group for a good handful of months now, and for whatever reason, I don't really get Odessen. I can only really
Yeah,
recall playing it like 3 times,
it does
so it's
seem pretty
still
rare.
relatively new to me. So it seems like it's fun. I'd like to be engaged with it more because I usually learn more by doing. But yeah, I kind of wish that would pop more frequently than Voidstar, that's for sure.
Yeah, everybody has asked for it in the past, which I think is a really bad idea. To be able to like pick which of the war zones you want and which you don't. Um, I think that would just slow down the queues because, as we said, some people are going to want Voidstar and some people aren't going to want Voidstar, and suddenly you've split the queue. I think things would get crazy in those circumstances. So you just put up with that. There's various things there. They have grouped the hut balls, since there's 3 hut ball arenas. They've at least grouped those up so you don't get like 3 times the hut ball matches of any other match. So they have fixed some of that kind of thing. All right. We're going a little bit long here, but this is fun to chat about. Any other sort of like tips or notes that you wanted to get out there before we wrap up for this round?
Oh, you know what? I had one right on the tip of my tongue that we started talking about Voidstar, and I lost track of it.
Your anger, your rage boiled
I
up, and
I kn I saw red, and then I lost it. But yes, there was one more thing, and dang it, now I'm upset that
okay. Well,
it
if you
is
Well,
it's
I
good.
mean,
remember,
I
yeah,
think your big tip is when you said, that when you get to a point where you learn that you can do things without losing your cool.
yeah,
That
Yeah.
is, and I have to say, when I've played with and talked to like the really top echelon PvPers, they don't lose their cool.
right. Very,
That
very
isn't part of
rarely,
it.
right? And pros
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. Um,
That's a good point.
complaining in chat isn't part of their game either. So
Rage quitting.
Oh
yeah,
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 yeah. Because if you're spending all the time to put like a demeaning or
a
degrading
diatribe.
mess, yeah,
Yeah.
then you're obviously not helping. So it's like, all right, thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
You know. Can't remember what it was, but I one thing would be interesting if they could somehow bring in like a comms, like your team, so like everyone on your team could actually hear you,
In-game
which I mean
voice.
could be like a double-edged sword because you're gonna get people in there that are just
Yeah.
rude and obnoxious, just based off of some of the stuff I see posted in during these matches. But I mean, I guess you could have the option to mute them, but that would be something cool to try out just because it is a lot easier when you can communicate. And like you said, people who are pros and who do it all the time, they generally they don't lose their cool. So they'll try to talk you through, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Try to follow me, or
Yeah.
or try this out, instead.
Yeah.
So I feel like there could be a lot of positives that could come from something like that, being able to communicate with people in your group.
But joining a group that does it, uh, catching up with people, getting in Discord, there's a solution to that. Um,
That's true. Yeah.
yeah. In fact, I've been in a couple of those situations, even with PvP back in the day, where you would be like be PvPing, especially when it was split in like Empire versus Republic, and they would never cross over. Because now with the mixed groups, it gets kind of crazy. But people would be like standing around the fleet, and they'll say, "Oh, you getting in? Or, oh yeah, jump in our group. We're gonna make a group. Hey, here's the Discord link. Jump in Discord." And you would just pick a Discord, and it didn't matter, strangers or whatever. If you put a group together, you get everybody in voice. And it was probably even pre-Discord. We were doing some of that back in the day. Yeah, that's a good tip. And having fun with friends and just having fun with it. It's cool that we've got these rewards. I think the tracks are cool. It's a good way to feel like you've got some progress, feel like you've got some objectives, and sort of progress through a season. You start looking at the achievements if you're going to get through all 25 and you're going to go through all the achievements. It gets tough. It gets really tough. So there's still, I think, a little bit of a stretch for the people that are a little bit more hardcore. It's not what ranked used to be because that was very hardcore. Um, so not all of that challenge is there, but there's a good amount of content, I think, in the way they sort of structured the seasons these days. So I'm happy that there's at least that.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. It's been a lot of fun, just having different objectives to strive for.
Yeah.
So it keeps you more and more engaged with it. So it's a good thing.
So what do you think, Seema? Has this been is so exciting that you're gonna jump in on Wednesday night and
Well, I do admit when I see you guys forming up on Wednesday nights, it doesn't. I'm not tempted to PvP, but I am tempted to just drop in and chat
yeah,
with you
it's a
guys
fun
from
it's a
time
fun
to
group of
time.
people. Those I mean, I keep missing these Wednesday nights, and I'm sad because it's awesome people. So yeah, anyone's welcome to just jump in the channel. That's a good point. Anyone's welcome to just jump in the channel and hang out and listen to it going on. We do have a warning. So we will make sure it's only adults in the channel because language gets a little salty. and,
Yeah.
and in general, across AIE in all of our guild communications, we have a family-friendly, text and talking in public channels in general, unless you've sort of said ahead of time and set aside a channel to have a little bit saltier language, because we do have kids and kids and parents and that are coming and hanging out. So, but we have said and we've specified and we do vet people who come into the channel that Wednesday night, Friday night, it can get a little salty when when we start getting murdered. So be prepared. That might happen. But anyone's welcome to come in and listen to the stuff that's going on. And we could even try to share a screen so you could watch and see
I mean,
what the match is
we're
is
still
doing.
in the process of learning how not to lose our cool.
Yes. Yeah, I gotta say, I spout off a bit here and there. I get a little salty myself. when I PvP.
Yeah, I can relate.
All right, I
Ye-
think we're good for today. This has been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on, Machete. As I said, if you guys want to join Machete, especially the Wednesday, Friday night stuff, a week from Friday is going to be the Summer of Love event week, special GSF night. And it's not every Wednesday, so definitely check in the Discord to make sure, especially during the summer, things get busy. Make sure it's one of the Wednesdays that these guys are doing PvP. But connect up. You can see Machete and Stask, who are the leads there in our channels in our guild Discord. And for this podcast, all the feed and subscribe links are on newoverlords.com and YouTube/newoverlords. And you can come chat with us in our Discord, our New Overlords Discord at newoverlords.com/Discord. Easy enough. And you can follow on Twitter and Mastodon and Threads at Max the Gray and at New Overlords, at the New Overlords on Twitter. I don't know if I have a New Overlords. Look for Max the Gray and look for New Overlords in any of the places, and you'll find us. For the LA Actors Guild on Starforge and in all the games that we play, as we keep saying, it's aie-guild.org. Our Discord link is right there on that main page. Jump in there. Get in our guild channels for Star Wars The Old Republic, and Imperial side, and ask for an invite. We'd love to have it in the guild as well. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.
Thanks for having me.